Salford Red Devils-ish, and crept through again, and then went to Castleford. Now, Castleford, as we all know, are a team that likes to play flashy, that likes to play superb, but the Rhinos had the number of them. 66-10. The worst defeat that ever happened, ever, in the entire history of the universe. And somehow, the fact that we won the next 4 just doesn't really count, because it was still stinging that we'd been beaten so badly by Castleford. And even going halfway through the season, the thing that I felt mainly was, good God, we're a middle-ranked team that's just being lucky, just creeping past, just about getting there. And yet we were disturbingly high up in the table for how it felt. Then we came out of the Challenge Cup, having got through on some easy games, and I thought, yeah, this is how it's going to be. It got towards the end of the season, and Castleford, that weren't actually that bad a team at all, had beaten us and beaten everybody else by a fair way a long time before the end of the season was due. But as the Super 8s advanced, I started to feel that my early beliefs were possibly a bit wrong. Possibly the team at the end of 2017 was more like the treble-winning team of previous years, more like Ryan Hall and Carl Ablett. What a beauty. And then a little parcel of joy were all coming together to actually make a difference. And we all know what happened in the grand final. The grand final was a place where players of experience came to the field and showed why they are experienced and why the Super League deserves the Rhinos as champions for the 8th time. Now, it was nice seeing Castleford have fun through the year. Well, no, it wasn't actually. But it was good to see Castleford having fun through the year, but it was better to see the Rhinos win at the end. Next year, losing our iconic Tiny Burrow and Minnie Maguire, yeah, it will be somewhat of a loss, but I think we'll do all right. Yeah, top 4, no for trophies, well, apart from possibly the one against the League One team, Hunslet Hawks, early in the year, but that's how I think the next year will go. Just time to say thank you very much, Tom, Mark, and all of the family for making the Super League pod what it is. It is the best rugby league podcast that is available, and I listen to it every single week with joy in my heart. Thank you all, and speak to you next year.
Will take the trophy from the presentation party. The 2 old stages. Away they go with the Betfred Super League trophy. They'll get into the floodlights, into the spotlight, and they will lift the trophy because the Rhinos are the Super League champions again.
Mel Reilly, Daryl Powell, Dwayne Chambers, John Keir, Tyler Casvan, Neil Diamond, Bob Beardsmore, Kevin Beardsmore, Jack Fulton, Zach Hardaker's coke dealer, Gary Belcher, Ronnie Rambo Gibbs, Freddie Mercury, fake Freddie Mercury, Sweet Caroline, Paul McShane's hot wife, Ben Tidy, Luke Gale's ego, Luke Gale's toupee, Mick Morgan, I can't speak, Mick Morgan, Graham Stedman, Katy Perry, Arthur Scargill, Andy Lynch, Kipax Welfare, Lady Diana, Survivor, Rocky Balboa, Henry Moore, Viv Nichols, Julius Caesar, Fat Boy Rob, John Joyner, whoever you are, can you hear me? Your boys took a hell of a beating, one hell of a beating.
Now then, lads,
This is my season review for the Rhinos 2017 season. Again, what a difference 12 months makes, eh? A crazy old season, really. Started off with the news that Seguiaro wasn't going to come, and you know the worry that threw up. But we signed Matt Parcell, and I'll speak about that in a minute. So the highlights of the season, you know, has got to be where we just started with Matt Parcell. You know, what a player to bring in. I think without him, the team would have been rudderless. It's obvious that Leeds need that controlling nine because he plays so much off the cuff, and Parcell's just been outstanding. He was a really, really amazing player in Australia and didn't really get a break at NRL level. And I think, you know, if we get another season out of him, that'll be awesome. But the NRL clubs will be looking for him. Other highlights were the return to form of Cuthbertson, the return to form of Maguire. Both had really poor 2016. Obviously, Cuthbertson said he was quite unfit at times in the season, and Danny Maguire never got going. And the bringing through of the kids with Jack Walker, you know, when we get to talking about the grand final, I'll mention Jack Walker again, but for a kid to have 12 games under his belt and to be playing like he is outstanding. At one point, I thought he was going to be leaving, and I was really disappointed and thought he'd made a really bad decision at a young age or been really badly advised, but I'm glad he stayed at Leeds. I think he's got a big future with us. The low points of the season, a lot of people maybe go to the Castleford thumping, getting, you know, when any team puts 60 points on a professional team, it's a poor state of affairs. But not making excuses for Leeds, Castleford were white hot that night, and I think they would have given most teams a shellacking with the full team. And Leeds, again, had plenty of bodies out. You know, there's no excusing the scoreline, but there's 3 or 4 maybe key players who maybe only got to face them the one time, and that was in the grand final, and, you know, it all told the difference. The real low point was probably Hull in the Cup. I felt we were well in that game, and we could have had that game, and I know referees don't change the total outcome of games, but I felt on that day that Bentham completely turned the momentum of the game with that really ludicrous forward pass off the floor from Kelly just before half time, and that totally shifted the game away from us, and I was so frustrated by that. So I thought back that, you know, we got a really dodgy decision against Salford at home at Headingley to get the result. So, you know, these things even themselves up over the season. We also got another duffer against Castleford at the Magic weekend. Essentially, you know, it was like Shenton's wonder ball that the Sky team were going crazy about. The problem was it was about 2 metres forward, but, you know, we all know that over the season it evens itself up, and we got one back in the grand final with Briscoe going in the corner. So, you know, we had 2 shockers and we had 2 runs go our way, so they really do even themselves up. So I think ultimately, you know, the highlight of the season's got to be the grand final, and, you know, a return to the top for Leeds. What can you say about this Leeds team? I remember people in 2010 said we were going to win no more trophies and this team were gone. And here we are, 2017, with a host more trophies over a period of time. You know, could we do it without Kev and JP? Well, yeah, we have gone and done it. And really, we turned over a Castleford team who've been in pole position all year. And it just shows you, if you don't turn up for the big event, then, you know, you miss out. And that's what Castleford did, you know. There were 2 teams playing in the rain. One just did much better than the other. I think there's been comments made that, if you played that final 10 times, Cass would win it 9 times out of 10. I don't go with that at all. Me and my family, my mates, were totally confident that we'd get Cass at some point this season. And when we got him in the grand final, we knew we were going to win it. Ardacre, no Ardacre, Gale, no Gale. I can't believe people thought Leeds weren't going to win it, to be honest. But, you know, I'm a staunch South Sounder. So the grand final, big game experience told through. Danny Maguire, what a performance, what a way to finish his Leeds career, going out as an absolute legend, and has proved himself this season to be the best half-back in the comp when it mattered the most. You know, he stepped up at playoff time, was outstanding, started scoring tries again towards the end of the season, and come grand final night, he was good to go and was a standout performer by a mile. Great to send Rob Burrow off in that fashion as well. Came on and did his 15-minute cameo, set up a nice try for Maguire. And the redemption of Briscoe, you know, this is a guy who was absolutely hounded by everybody in the game, even Leeds fans, and, you know, came out on top, showed some great confidence, regained his confidence and showed what a great professional he is. The redemption of Brian McDermott, you know, been hammered most by the Leeds fans for eternity, and if they don't shut up now, I don't know when they will. I've always been in the Mac camp, so I'm just absolutely buzzing for him again. We touched on Jack Walker. What an excellent performance from a kid in a grand final. Big things for him. And Stevie Ward, you know, we all felt for Stevie Ward. His heart went out to him. If he hadn't played in that game, God knows what would have happened. But what a legend to come through and, you know, play like he did with a busted shoulder. He's the next captain, nailed on. You know, JJB's instilled in this team that the players that have passed, your Kebs, your JPs, now your Robs and Danny Maguires and Baileys and seniors, Brent Webb, Scott Donald, Ali Lawatiti, Gareth Ellis, they've left the club, but they left something, they've left a legacy, and, you know, they'll always be with us. That's the mentality JJB is always be with us. It's a legacy at Leeds, you know, and in the Super League era, in a salary capped era, would have been by far the most successful team. You know, people going about Wigan before that, I'm sorry, Mark, but, you know, they had 5 internationals on the bench when, you know, other teams' players were working part-time, and that still goes for Leeds. Leeds were never full professional when Wigan were, maybe for a season towards the end, but, you know, Leeds in the salary cap era have just blown everybody out of the water, and it makes me so proud. You know, what can be said? This is generally the best grand final win of the lot. It means the most because of what this team's been through from last season and the players that have moved on. I think the future's bright for Leeds. What a great season 2017 is. Will we win more trophies? I reckon we will. You know, this team will keep building, and there's something very special at Headingley, and, you know, will we be as consistent as we have been at winning trophies? Who knows? But, you know, this ain't the last one by any means. So 2017, absolutely amazing season. So looking forward to the World Cup. You know, rugby league rolls on, and, you know, come December we'll get 4 weeks off and we're back into the season. So all good. So just a massive thanks to Mark and Tom. What you do is amazing. Most unbelievable podcast there is going. You know, it's our special little podcast. We all love it, and just thank you for what you do, boys. Cheers.
Well, good God, there's an awful lot to unpack in those reviews in a lot of senses. But thank you, all three of you. But not particularly, but Soap Opera for Men. That when I first listened back to that absolutely cracked me up. That was great. And then either side of that, some very astute insight into Leeds' season, Mark.
Rich Wilkinson is, I feel, possibly the most biased.
Well, he's just unashamedly pro his team.
It's not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Not in an arrogant kind of bad way either. But
listen, he's been borne out. He's been saying this all year, so it's not like he's. You know.
Whereas Dr. Bob, I mean, you'd have thought that he got relegated for the first half of his review, but there you go.
I could listen to Bob Phillips all day.
I must admit, like, that was the one when I was listening through him a couple of times since they've come in. That was the one that Emma was most keen to listen to. She's got a thing about Dr. Bob.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's his silky voice.
Exactly.
Very, very comforting.
Okay, so we had a few other people get in touch. Colin Render said, when Cass thrashed Leeds at the start of the season, I was expecting a similar year to 2016, but somehow the team managed to turn it around and become 8 times grand final winners. A great send-off to 2 legends of the game, Maguire and Burrow. Cutthroat Jake said, could have been worse.
Yeah.
Dom Hodgson said, you may take our South Stand, but you'll never take our silverware. Liz Letitia said, amazing.
Very good.
Graham Redgewell said, went under the radar. Graham's been someone who's been looking forward to this season recap show. So here we go. He said, went under the radar for most of the season, but grew at the back end of the season when it counts. In the big games, they showed their class. Mm-hmm. Paul Wilson said, Luke Gale taking the panicked short kickoff with 21 minutes to go in the grand final. It was then that I knew we would be champions. Andrew Krask just reviewed the season by saying beating Castleford in the grand final.
Yeah, there you go.
Factual. And then Phil said, beyond our expectations after a very poor 2016, second in Super League, Challenge Cup semi-finalists and crowned Super League champions in the grand final at Old Trafford, a fitting farewell to 2 Rhinos legends who will both be sadly missed, Danny Maguire and Robbie Burrow.
There you go. Well, it's been a fabulous season for Leeds Rhinos, particularly peaking towards the end of the year there and coming out on top in the grand final. I think when we all, after the defeat at Castleford, the 66-10 defeat at Castleford, and when Brian Mack said that they could still win the grand final, I think everybody, apart from the staunchest of Leeds fans, either threw their head back and had a little chuckle, or